California's Sonoma, a picturesque region renowned for its world-class wines and stunning natural beauty. But there is even more to Sonoma. Nestled among its undulating hills sits the world-renowned Sonoma Raceway, which hosts the 5th round of the 2024 Ferrari Challenge season. The circuit, with its sweeping curves and vast elevation changes, offers a thrilling spectacle for drivers and fans alike. As the engines echo through the hills, anticipation builds for an electrifying Ferrari Challenge weekend, highlighting the capabilities of these awesome cars and the passion and determination of the drivers behind the wheel. The Ferrari Challenge 488 cars take to the Sonoma Raceway for their first race of the weekend in round 5 of our 2024 calendar here. 30-minute race for our drivers in Pirelli and also Shell that take to this really rather demanding track. And here you can see that it is our 5th round, Sonoma Raceway. We head to Indianapolis in the middle of September, and then the middle of October it is the Finale Mondiale at Imola in Italy that will round out our 2024 calendar. So this is where we are then, in a picturesque region of Northern California then, in and amongst the wineries and all the finery is this wonderful Sonoma Raceway then, a very challenging track for our drivers, which is particularly undulating. It's not the easiest track to overtake on, that's for sure, and it has been re-tarmacked since we were here last year, so that offers something of a interesting prospect for our mix of Pirelli and Shell drivers. The weather conditions today have been really rather cloudy. The track temperature, as you can see, is 37 degrees, air temperature 25 degrees. There's 14 kilometers per hour of wind at the moment. That's the way it looks. The weather conditions somewhat better for racing than they were for qualifying. Alongside me is Justin Bell, and the sun has really not got going today, hasn't it?
No, I mean, it's probably quite pleasant conditions out in the car. Oh, hello, everybody. That's what I meant to say. Hello, thanks for having me. Yeah, we've had 2 spectacular races so far. The conditions have been very stable, and the cloud cover will allow, of course, for track temperature to stay within a pretty decent operating range. But I'm looking forward to this race. It was fun qualifying, so I think this will be we've got some repeat offenders in here. We've got some drivers that are doing double duty. I mean, especially the one at the top of the field there. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, Jason McCarthy, who goes from P2 for our Pirelli drivers, and Roberto Perrina's nephew, Massimo Perrina, goes from P1, of course, and there's been such a ding-dong battle between Massimo Perrina and Jason McCarthy all season long, and that looks like it's going to continue today, as Massimo has put it once again on pole position. Jason McCarthy doing the chasing. I mean, Massimo's score sheet for this season has been, well, it's just unbeatable. It's P1, 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 repeat as much as you would like. For Jason McCarthy, it's the same, but it's just P2 rather than P1. And yeah, they've had a really fascinating battle between these two drivers. I mean, Massimo is a real young talent, there's no question about it. And of course, these 488 Challenge Evo cars, I mean, the 488 has been such a successful car for Ferrari across so many different racing categories. But in the Ferrari Challenge, it has been an awesome car. And it's great that they are still seen amongst our Ferrari Challenge race weekends. Of course, we have the 296s racing, but it's great that the 488s still continue to race. And there is the 311 car of Jason McCarthy, who, as you mentioned, double duty this weekend. And very interestingly, when I've spoken to Jason about this, initially it was very difficult to swap between the 296 and the 488. Sometimes races butted up against each other, so it's literally getting out of one car and into the other one. And it hasn't been an easy task, but Jason has done a very, very good job. And as I say, a brace of P2s that he's had, as we see all the cars come into line now. Massimo Perrina, Jason McCarthy, the top 2 in the Pirelli drivers. For the Shell drivers, Matthew Dalton and Gerda Sven-Slovas, who goes from P2. And there you can see the Logan Broughton car. And down there on and in among the thick of these 488 Challenge Evo cars is Amanda Busick.
David, it is a special weekend for the 488. This will be the second to the last time that we will see this package compete in the Ferrari Challenge season. The last time here at Sonoma Raceway, you think of the history of this platform getting its start in 2017. Then we had that Evo upgrade as well. But within this race right here, we do have a Jason McCarthy who won the championship in the 488. So a lot of history and special moments here. But you will have Massimo Perrina on that front row, who has just batted 1,000 here this season in that 488. But it's time to go racing here at Sonoma Raceway. Drivers, start your Ferrari 488 engines.
Take a brave driver to ignore Amanda Busick, and none of them do, you know.
It's funny that, isn't it? Yeah. It's such a pretty car still, though. I see them on the road, and I've enjoyed driving them. It's just a wonderful platform that obviously has been, given this motorsport life that when I first drove one on the road, I had no idea that this would have this legacy of competition. And I mean, it truly is the thoroughbred of the last decade for Ferrari. But something you just mentioned, McCarthy jumping from car to car. For Jason, I saw C.J. Wilson, who's not actually racing, a famous former baseball player who's a very experienced driver. He was out getting some laps in. He's looking at getting a bit more back into racing. But what he said was, in terms of lap time, you get more lap time doing this than anything else he ever could. So that is the benefit. Not just, if the others are getting 3 or 4 hours of track time, Jason's getting 8 hours of it. An enormous amount of track time over the course of the week. And that is what you need when you're getting the fundamentals and foundation of your racing career together. So it'll probably only take him, a lap or two to recalibrate, but I'd say he's got about one corner to calibrate, actually, because the race goes hot and he's on the front row. So he's not had much time to bed it in, but he's had a lot of time in both cars. So it's really hats off to him, but I'm sure he's prepared as best he can.
Thanks, Justin Bell. We'll take a look at the grid of our cars then, both Pirelli and Shell drivers in the 488 Challenge. And Massimo Perrina, once again, P1, Jason McCarthy, P2. They occupy the first row. Titus Sherlock, a very good qualifying going from P3. Logan Broughton alongside P4. Gray Falver and Eric Pan occupy row 3. It's P5 and P6. Then it's Michael Porter. Best of the Shell drivers, Matthew Dalton. And then it's Gerda Svenslovas and Brad Evans. They go from P9 and P10. Enoch Hurd and Dan Magnuszewski. They are P11 and P12. And they're ahead of Stephen Chen and Henry Hummel. On row 8, we find Ed Vortigyan and Jeffrey Giel. And then on row 9, a warm welcome to our 17th and 18th places, Kevin Orsini and Michael Merrithew. So that's the way the cars look. That's the way the grid looks for a mix of Pirelli and Shell drivers in this 488 Challenge race here at the Sonoma Raceway. Here to bring you all the action across this 30-minute race. And, the track conditions pretty good. Very different to what these drivers experienced during qualifying this morning. And they'll be hoping to make the most of this as we watch Henry Hummel then in the 429 car for Ferrari of Lake Forest. The cars were all behind the Richard Mills safety car. And Massimo Perrina, we have waxed lyrical about this young man. And I was talking to his father earlier on today, and I said, what are the plans for Massimo? He said, the plan is college. Oh, that's the plan. He's got to finish college then, because he is such a talent. There is no question about that. But he's very, very grounded and very humble young man as well, which is always nice to see, and it's not always a given, Justin. The cars then behind the safety car will line up side by side in grid formation. As always, a rolling start in the Ferrari Challenge. They're approaching the final turn. There you can see the safety car peels off into the pit lane, and it's the responsibility of Massimo Perrina and Jason McCarthy to control the pace of the rolling start. this is probably the only opportunity Jason McCarthy has got to get the better of Massimo Perrina. And Massimo has not put a foot wrong on the start so far this season. And as they head now, they begin to accelerate away. They get the greens, and once again, Massimo Perrina does it, and does it well. And heads Jason McCarthy and Titus Sherlock up the hill then as they climb uphill. These 488 Challenge Evo cars then, as Amanda has reminded us, for the final time this season, we will see them at Indianapolis. So this is a second from last time that we'll see these wonderful 488 Challenge Evo cars. And it's Massimo Perrina leading the way now. Lots of jostling for positions, and as you can see, coming under some pressure there, as already overtakes are being just lined up wherever possible. The number 300 car of Titus Sherlock then making his debut, to the best of my knowledge, in the Ferrari Challenge North America here this weekend. And remind you that the Pirelli drivers have a red strip across the top of the windscreen. The Shell drivers have a yellow strip across the top of the windscreen.
Ooh, very nice. He's been looking sporty the last couple of corners, so that is how to execute a pass. No grey area, just do it. The guy on the being overtaken knows, hey, I'm being overtaken, and you can't really defend. It's when there's ambiguity in it, that's an indecision, that's when it all goes wrong. I'd like to make a comment on Massimo's start. He was pretty confident in the knowledge they weren't going to wave off the start. And he saw what happened in the last race, going two abreast, really not two abreast, but very close for comfort, and with the ensuing chaos. So I think he just wanted a clean start, and he focused on his race. So, you know, he knew a green flag was going to appear. He just went for it. So nicely executed.
Well, the first lap is in the book, and already he's accumulated a lead of 1.633 seconds over Jason McCarthy, who is under a little bit of pressure here from Sherlock, who looked very, very good in qualifying for Wide World Ferrari, which is the same team that Jason McCarthy races for. So a bit of an inter-team battle going on here, and Logan Broughton's not far behind them either. So there's a bit of a fight going on for this P2. It's a three-way fight for P2, potentially, in Ferrari 488 Challenge Trofeo Pirelli. So the Pirelli drivers then, this is something of a roller coaster, this circuit, and there you can see that battle that is going on for P2, whilst Massimo Perrina just escapes up the road. So Jason McCarthy with double duties this weekend, as indeed has been the case for most weekends, as he also races in the 296 Challenge, but loves the 488 Challenge Evo car, and absolutely thrilled to be back out in that car.
And maybe what we're seeing here as well is that just that couple of laps to reacclimatise to the other car. I'll eat my words if he does get overtaken, but otherwise I'll be stroke of brilliance to pick up on what you said, because you know he's right under pressure right now, and he might need a little recalibration, but by lap 2 or 3 he's going to be doing his own thing.
I mentioned in qualifying that a driver to watch is going to be Gerdas Venslovas. He's currently running P2 in the Shell drivers, and he's just beginning to reel in Matthew Dalton a little bit here. So Gerdas Venslovas then into this turn 11 right now in that red and silver car, as we get the angle there from our hospitality here at the Sonoma Raceway. And as they cross the timing line, the gap has reduced a little bit. So the fight is on for P1 in Shell drivers for the 488 Challenge Evo. Matt Dalton's being kept pretty keen here in the 433 car. Matthew Dalton, who's had a brace of P2s, but he actually took a race win in class in the final race at Watkins Glen. So he will come here with a rich vein of confidence and form. And Gerdas then, nonetheless, will be pushing him for all he's worth, metaphorically.
Venslovas picked up the fastest lap on that last one. That's when we saw him surge towards Dalton. There's phases in this race. We're seeing the way these, obviously this is our first 488 race of the day, but to see the way the platforms are so stable, but definitely there's phases that this is a good overtaking phase, then it'll settle down, then there's another one, and I'm sure he'll be wanting to make his mark without burning up his tires. So
he has also got to think about Enoch Hurd, who's not so far behind him, you know. So the Ferrari of Atlanta driver that's currently running P3 will also fancy his chances. So here is Jason McCarthy now. Massimo Perrina has already checked out to the tune of 3 seconds up the road. I mean, talk about a young talent. There is a young talent, that's for sure. And Jason McCarthy, whilst chasing for all his worth, and let's be honest, Jason is a very, very accomplished racing driver, but Massimo has just got the measure of this.
Yeah, he needed to put a hook on the back of his car, actually, at the start. That would have been helpful. But, you know, he'll pull out a few seconds and then he'll just settle in. And although it is easier to keep driving fast and keep on it than it is to be told to back off.
Oh, okay.
Oh, God, yeah, you can start to make mistakes and all sorts. You start hearing noises. You start thinking about the ice cream that couple were eating on the balcony as you come past the hospitality. Yeah, I'd much rather be in push mode than being told to hold a lap time. Yeah, really, very true. But
well, Sherlock then, who's keeping Jason McCarthy well within sight here. But as we've said in the previous races that we've seen today, it's all very well being as quick, or indeed even quicker than the car in front of you. You've got to find a way by. And I have to say, for my second year in a row of being here at the Sonoma Raceway, you've got to pick your overtaking places here at Sonoma.
Yes, we see quite a lot of people doing half-baked moves, because that's also part of when you're learning to be a proper race driver. You tend to try every opportunity without being able to sit back and look at it more holistically and wait for the right moment. That's why I commented on that overtake earlier. You don't want to display all your cards at once. You evaluate the guy in front, and then you need to make your move very assertively. It's harder to defend that. So what we're seeing right now is a nice positioning for an overtake, but it won't be in here. It won't be in the first few corners unless a mistake is made by the car in front. So we have to, if I was him, I would be looking very much for where I'm going to be pulling off my move.
And of course, he's up against Jason McCarthy, one of the most experienced Ferrari Challenge drivers. And of course, the other thing for Sherlock to bear in mind is that Logan Broughton is lurking, not so far behind either. So the minute that Titus goes for an overtake, that makes him vulnerable, doesn't it, to the car that is effectively right behind him. So he's got to think about this very, very carefully. Massimo Perrina extends his margin to 5.6 seconds in the lead of the race. And this is the deficit to this car, 5.6 seconds, because it is Jason McCarthy running P2 ahead of Titus Sherlock and Logan Broughton. Those have broken away a bit from Gray Falva, Michael Porter and Eric Pan. In the Shell drivers, it remains Matt Dalton, Gerda Svenslovis and Enoch Hurd. They are the top three. And there you can see the cars going through the S's there.
Gerda keeps getting fastest laps, so we're once again seeing the situation that you'd think this track has a lot of overtaking spots. It really doesn't. And you can get a little frustrated sitting behind, knowing you have the pace, but you can't pull off the move.
Yeah, and the gap between Matthew Dalton and Gerda Svenslovis has increased to very nearly a second, despite the fact that Gerda is, as you say, setting fastest laps. So they're sort of spreading themselves out as they come into what I call the stadium section here, just in front of our hospitality. There are the top three in our Shell drivers. Matt Dalton, Gerda Svenslovis and Enoch Hurd, then the top three. And yeah, the gap is frustratingly about the same, isn't it, between P1, P2, P2 and P3.
They come through, it's, you know, the cars look so tidy. There's not a lot the teams don't know about this 488 chassis. Precisely. You know, they know how to set it up, they know how to set it up for every condition. By now they've had every type of driver through the seats over the last few years. So, I mean, it is such a known quantity. It must be a joy to drive. Yeah, really, really interesting to watch this play out.
How true is it that, you know, in a situation like this that Gerdas has, you know, you're not going to run immediately behind the car that you're trying to attack for every single lap, because that would be futile. So is he managing this? Is he thinking, right, I'm going to ease off for a moment or two and then I'm going to refocus my attack? Is that true, or does that happen, or does that not happen, Justin?
It does. It sort of tends to happen naturally in a way. I mean, if you make an overtake, it takes another lap. If you attempt one, you can set you back another lap just as you overheat everything and you get yourself out of rhythm. But this is very sporty right now. I don't think there's much being left on the table.
No.
There's not much strategy unfolding. I mean, he is wanting a pass right now, so Gerdes was right there.
So this is the fight that's going on in Pirelli. Now, bear in mind, this is for P2, 3, and 4, because there is Jason McCarthy, there's Sherlock, and then it's Logan Broughton that's behind, and different lines being taken there for sure, and Logan Broughton. And now, here comes Sherlock then, trying to get to the inside as they go side by side with McCarthy. It's a long way around the outside here. However, stuck his elbows out, and the big beneficiary there is going to be Broughton.
That was copy, but I was just about to say that's where the other two went off in the last race at high speed. So going side by side there is a brave move, but that was beautifully executed, and Broughton just capitalized on that.
Well, very often I say that the big winner could be the driver that's 2 or 3 cars behind, because he lets those two fight, and that was proof of exactly how you can make that work.
Yeah, he's running. He looks like the cat that got the cream there inside the car. He's oh no, come on, hold it together. He was so excited he missed his apex there, but he's gonna have to keep his head down, because I mean, I don't think Sherlock has given up his race right now.
Well, the irritating thing for Sherlock is he did what he needed to do and overtake, but in so doing ran wide, and that just allowed, so he's actually net gained nothing.
Yeah, absolutely net gained nothing. And it was a brilliant side-by-side move all the way through there, back in the stadium setting.
Oh, diving to the inside here. There's plenty going on as Michael Porter then and Eric Pan.
That was clean.
Yeah.
I mean, he went by into the hairpin there right in front of hospitality. I'm sure his friend's family had a bit of a raised a glass for him.
Wow, plenty going on in this. I thought from the Ferrari Beverly Hills driver in the all-yellow 488 Challenge Evo there, Eric Pan, he did a very, very good job. It's not somewhere where I necessarily expected to see it, but he made it stick. So, frustrating then for the driver of the 322 car, Michael Porter. His best finish has been a couple of P5s in the Ferrari 488 Challenge Evo racing this year, as there you can see Titus Sherlock and Jason McCarthy. Jason McCarthy relegated to P4 from that P2 position that he had, losing out on 2 places. Massimo Perrina is brewing a coffee at the moment because he's 10 seconds up the road.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's not even the same race.
Logan Broughton running in that P2 position now. So the 300 car of Sherlock then that you can see. Now, what's tyres, how the tyres going to perform over the course of the 30 minutes of this race? I think Amanda Busick, you may have a view on this.
Yeah, Dave, you think of Sonoma Raceway, they did go under a repave ahead of this 2024 racing season, and that's really changed the grittiness of the track surface here. So you're seeing a lot more life out of these tires. I was talking to some of the teams of just what it looks like from a profile in this year's race, and they're seeing like peak performance out of those tires around lap number 3, and then a gradual fall off, and said that we could see some slippery conditions out of those tires around lap 16, 17, 18. Well, I was doing a little bit of the math. If we stay green flag conditions, it could get dicey here towards the end, guys.
A very good point, well made.
Nice. Yeah, very, very true. I mean, they're running at a very strong pace right now. I mean, Perrina he can control it from where he is, but the race really is between Broughton, Sherlock, and McCarthy. That's the race that we've got going on for the podium.
Yes.
And that's what everyone's shooting for here.
And you say that Massimo is controlling this. I mean, he's got a margin of 10.8 seconds. Is there such a thing as an adequate margin? Do you know what I mean? I mean, Massimo, he does not lift a bit. He continues. His pace is absolutely full chat flat. He gives it everything. He doesn't relax for a moment. He keeps pushing as hard as he can, and that's why lap after lap after lap, he is increasing that margin. So, you know, you would think potentially, okay, I can lift a little here and just keep the life in the tires, but actually he just goes for it full.
In a 30-minute race, you can
Yes.
do that. If he had to get 2 hours out of these tires, he would be asked to back off right now. Yeah, he would not be able to continue this pace. But also, I said it earlier, the minute you're told to back out, it just changes the dynamics. These cars, he likes driving them at this speed. He's probably safer in terms of not making a mistake, having to focus full on. So I think they're just letting him have his head and going.
And he's got traffic to work his way through already, and he does that. Very good gentlemanly driving there from back marking car, just allows Massimo to go through on his way. You can just see the P2 car coming into the picture now of Logan Broughton, then the P3 car of Titus Sherlock, and that battle that was on for P2 and P3 has kind of gone away now, Justin.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's just the middle section of the race where they're just... Everything you said about Massimo is... Whoa, yo. Yeah, now, a little spin there.
That is the 322 car of Michael Porter that's gone around. Now he very quickly recovers the car and gets it pointing back in the right direction again. So Michael will continue for Ferrari of Seattle, and someone who won't continue, look, is that's Jason McCarthy. I'm sure it is.
Oh, that is unfortunate. What has he hit? The rear right...
Do you think he's
suspension is broken?
Is that just a consequence of that flat tire?
I don't think that's the looks like the rear suspension is broken. The way the wheel is shaking there.
I mean, because the rim is
moving. So, but I do not know. Look at the angle. The front left of the car is jacked up. So you need to leave that right where it is, boy. That's not good. We will have to see what happened. Either another car, but there's no walls to brush here, so I don't, on the apex is on that section of the track. Yeah, that's very unfortunate. He was running fourth. It was, very much a contender for the podium.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. At that, when last we'd seen him on screen, he wasn't in a big battle with Sherlock, was he? So here's Massimo then making his way past some more of the cars that he's come up to overtake, and these are effectively back-marking cars. They're not back-marking because, of course, they're in their own race, but this is Matthew Dalton for Ferrari of Long Island leading for our Shell drivers ahead of Gerda Svenslovas and Enoch Hurden. The fight from Gerda Svenslovas has gone away just for the moment. The gap between P1 and P2 and the Shell drivers is 2 seconds. So Matthew Dalton has got it all his own way at the moment. You can just see the Gerda Svenslovas car come into the picture. But Jason McCarthy then, unfortunate for him, it has not been the day for him in the 488s, that's for sure. So Matthew Dalton then.
He's looking pretty secure out the front there. He's just running nice, tidy lap times. He just did his fastest lap of his class, so obviously he's keeping the hammer down because, only 2 seconds behind is Gerda's, so no room to breathe. But you asked, is that a few minutes ago, is this the way it's going to end? I think you're going to see in that final, especially 7 or 8 minutes, if you pushed your tires too hard, you will have to suffer the consequences. If you've been saving them, you might have some racing left. And also, for a lot of drivers, especially when their experience level is low, 30 minutes of intense focus is quite demanding. I remember teaching one guy, he was a pediatric neurosurgeon. Could he be more smart? No. I can't even say smart properly. He was so intellectual, but to do 5 laps in a row in a race car was really, really tough for him. Just it's a different processing, and his experience of it. He got over it, but we do see that in especially in the 488s. They need to get some of them more racecraft, and we're seeing you can have a drop-off in the last 5-8 minutes. So from our point of view, it makes for good racing.
Yeah, of course. Just keeping a very close eye on Massimo Perrina, whose margin ahead of Logan Broughton is 9.636 seconds. Now, that's dropped a little, but we are only talking a little.
And he's still got fastest lap on the last lap.
I agree.
So,
yeah. However, just looking at all the storylines here.
Yeah.
What have we got? 10.5 minutes remaining, and just as I mentioned that gap, Massimo increases it by a couple of seconds. So
might have just been traffic as he went by.
well, he did have cars to overtake. You're
I saw him
absolutely right.
scything through the traffic. He's displaying an amazing amount of maturity and class, actually, as he's driving through the field. There is something about being the dominant guy in the race, because people part the ways. It's like the parting of the Red Seas. And you go, everyone else goes, why does that not happen to me? Well, your team is saying, the leader's coming up, get out of the way.
Yeah. Right, into turn 11 then. Are we going to see, I don't think, close enough for a potential overtake here.
No, but the pressure is on there. That is for sure.
Yes, no, and the pressure remains. So wasn't able to do it going through that turn 11. But it is enjoyable to watch, that's for sure. Now, Jason McCarthy then, we have seen his car out of the race, regrettably. Amanda, you have news on that?
Yeah, just to confirm what we were seeing on track, I did talk to that team. Jason McCarthy did report to his team that it was contact with car 300, Titus Sherlock, that created that condition where the tire slowly lost air over time after that contact. They are both racing from the dealership of Worldwide Ferrari, but are managed by different competition teams out here. But yeah, just a bummer for Jason. You know, he's been chasing Massimo all season, has been runner-up in the 488 season all year.
You're absolutely right, he has, and well, it's a great shame, isn't it, that contact with Titus is what did for him. As we continue to watch Brad Evans and Stephen Chen then, they are running P4 and P5 in the Shell race, and well, for the moment, Brad has got the measure, hasn't he? And wherever Stephen has tried to place that 462 car, it's not been enough. Stephen's been on the podium a couple of times, a P3 and a P2. Hasn't yet been able to take a win in the Shell class. And today probably it's going to be a big ask to change that. But he is at the moment chasing down that P4 place. And the 411 car that he's currently running in P4 within class for Ferrari of San Antonio is Evans then, as traffic getting out of the way of other cars, and just sometimes that can play to an advantage and put you into a position where you can make a move, and that's precisely what we saw there.
Yeah, well, I mean, heads-up driving from everybody. It's good to see. I mean, it's been a long day, a long time since they were out qualifying.
Yes.
And the conditions absolutely perfect right now.
So the red sun strip across the windscreen indicates that it is one of the Pirelli drivers getting past some of the Shell drivers, going into turn 11 here. And again, just take advantage of the hole that's been created there.
That was very nicely done.
And sometimes when you're a driver, you've just got to take advantage of everything that's gifted to you. And, well, that was certainly the case there. Massimo Perrina leading by 12 3/4 seconds over Logan Broughton and Titus Sherlock. Then here, right centre picture, Matthew Dalton then leading. Now, Gerda Sven-Slovas has really reeled him in now. Yeah. So into the final 6.5 minutes of this race, and Gerda Sven-Slovas has got the hurry up.
Yeah, I think we saw him just go into this. Look, last 8 minutes of the race. We're now at 6.5 minutes. This is when your car, your confidence comes alive, if that's your fate and you've managed things well enough. He's either going to have to do it, Dave, and get the job done, or he'll regret not having made a move, because you can't just sidle up against someone and then not be aggressive in your execution. But if he gets back in fighting distance, then I think we'll see it. Nice. No, that was
probably picked up a little bit more curb than he wanted to.
Yeah. Generally, you like your tires to touch the ground, all four of them.
Right, so we've got 5 3/4 minutes left for Gerdas to get really on terms with Matthew Dalton. And is he going to be able to do that now? Of course, the more cars that Dalton can pass on his way, it's just offering insulation between himself and the hard-charging Gerda Svenslover. So just wonder whether Gerdas has left this a little bit too late, JB.
And I think Dalton is actually very good in traffic too.
He has carved his
he's
way.
Very. It's also sometimes just luck in terms of getting the opportunity to overtake on the straight or through the faster corners. But he's making his moves with authority, and the Gerdas behind isn't quite so lucky. He catches the cars in more difficult places, but it's like everything in racing, a little yin and yang.
Yes. Meantime, this battle that we were watching earlier on continues between Evans and Chen, and at the moment, here you can see Evans, who's running P10 in the race overall, is P4, as a very wide line is taken there by Stephen Chen in the anticipation, but it was more in hope than expectation, I think. In fairness, that was not the optimum line around turn 11. I'm no racing driver, but...
No, he just added some length to the track. It's no longer just what it was. But look, he's right up there. I mean, he's really, really good through this section, and yeah, I think Chen definitely has the opportunity. Getting there's one thing, getting past is the other.
Well, Massimo Perrina, our race leader overall and leader in Pirelli, is in and amongst them, having built up that lead of 13.2 seconds from Logan Broughton and Titus Sherlock. Not finding it quite so easy to cut a swathe past the 462 car of Stephen Chen at the moment. Stephen, of course, very much in his own race, and he's focused on what he's doing as Massimo now dives to the inside, and, well, Stephen Chen yields and allows him to go through undaunted, as you would expect. And what he would do now is if he could hook up into the wheel tracks of Massimo Perrina, that would bring him ever closer, would it not, to Evans?
It's always frustrating when the leader goes by if you're in a multi-class race or a category race. You go, go, I'm doing my best. Where the heck did that guy come from? What we're seeing, though, is we talked about Massimo not backing off lap times. I agree with that. What he's doing, though, is you're seeing he just decided to err on the side of caution going past those guys rather than just blindly throw it in because he didn't need to.
Well, Gerda Svenslovas has found his way past Matthew Dalton.
Fabulous.
So, picking up on what you said, it's going to be in the final 8 minutes. And let's take a look at how he did that in replay then, because we were watching Massimo Perrina make his way through the traffic. And was it traffic that did for Matthew Dalton? Well, Gerdas was just determined and put it to the inside. And, well, there was 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Oh, I say.
Sneaky, boys. Little opposite lock onto power slide. Well, I'm sure they'll have a little conversation about that. I mean, I've got to say that Dalton did leave the door open a little bit going into 11, and then Gerdas went on the inside.
Dalton's going to come back here, JB.
Same move. This is I tell you what, they're not going to finish this race if they carry on. No, they're not. That was foolish.
That's really, really unfortunate.
Okay, guys.
That's taken them both out of the race.
That is really unfortunate. Your car is not pointing in the straight line, I don't think.
So Matthew Dalton with a damaged car, Gerda Svenslovas with a damaged car.
You can't drive it. You've got to pull off the track. He's broken the suspension. He's got to pull off.
Well, for all of a sudden, Enoch Hurd, the big beneficiary of that, as we see the car of Gerda Svenslovas then. Here we go.
I mean, he basically did a repeat of the move that was played on him, but sometimes you could stop Carlos Sainz going by here if you wanted to in a Formula One car, but that's what would happen. I hate to say it, kind of immature driving.
Well, that was very, very unfortunate. We're on the final lap now with Massimo Perrina. 10.9 seconds to the good in the 488 Challenge. Pirelli class ahead of Logan Broughton and Titus Sherlock. Of course, it's all change with regards to the Shell race.
Yeah. Eric Hertz he's got a rather nice run to the finish here.
So Massimo Perrina then, who I've extolled the virtues of during the course of every program that I've had the privilege of talking about in the Ferrari Challenge. He is a really, really mature young man. He's a very talented young driver. Has shown extraordinary maturity for such a young head. And Massimo Perrina then will head towards another victory, and it'll be the 7th.
Really,
Seventh.
if I was him, I'd get college done with real quick, and then get back to some more racing, because he's really displaying a lot of pace, and he's going to go on to some good things if he stays in or outside of this Ferrari world. But what a way for him to get the experience, and as he makes his way towards the finish, this is a 7th win. That is wild.
So Massimo Perrina picks up yet another checkered flag and takes the win. And coming to take P2 is going to be Logan Broughton. And Titus Sherlock on his debut in the Ferrari Challenge should take P3. And of course, for the Copa Shell drivers, it is all change, as it will be Enoch Hurd from Stephen Chen and Brad Evans, I believe, following the coming together of Gerda Svenslovas and the car of Evans. So there is the 498 car of Enoch Hurd, the Ferrari of Atlanta driver, whose best finish has been a P4 across this season in the Shell category. And just sometimes you have to take what's thrown at you, and sometimes it runs to your advantage, sometimes it goes the other way. On this occasion, Justin,
he put himself in the right position.
Yep.
And he was running third, strong third, in touch, and it ended up in a win. We've all experienced that. I think, very unfortunately, the rather petulant response to each other going through turn 11 took out 2 cars. And I've always said it. You could literally stop Charles Leclerc going by you in one of these in a Formula One car if you wanted to. You just take him out. But that's not how our racing rules work.
So well done to Enoch Hurd, well done to Stephen Chen, and well done to Brad Evans. They are the top 3 for our Shell drivers.
Well, good for him. How old is he?
I don't actually know.
He probably can't have a drink in California, I have a feeling. Good Lord.
Well, he gives
Good
it a
for
few
him.
revs in celebration, and why not?
Yeah, that's wonderful. Boy, we've seen some great racing this afternoon. We really have.
Yes, it's there's Enoch Hurd then, who's done a great job of taking advantage of everything that was gifted to him, and why not indeed. So there we have it, the 488 Challenge race for both Pirelli and Shell drivers done and dusted. Another race for those drivers to compete in tomorrow. It's going to make it very interesting.
Yeah.
As Massimo Perrina then, his dad is there to haul him out of the car.
He was so far ahead he could have drunk his champagne and gone home by now.
Well,
That was that's a great display.
let's take a look at the classification there. Massimo Perrina winning ahead of Logan Broughton and Titus Sherlock. Then it's Eric Pan, Gray Falver and Michael Porter. Then they are the top 6 now. Enoch Hurd victorious for the Shell drivers ahead of Stephen Chen. Then it was Brad Evans, Henry Hummel, Dan Magnuszewski, Ed Vortigian, Kevin Orsini, Michael Marathew and Jeffrey Keel. And of course we lost Matthew Dalton, Gerda Svenslovas, Jason McCarthy earlier on, and Jesus Mendoza didn't start the race. So there we have it, the 488 Challenge drivers. And there's Roberto Perrina going to congratulate his nephew Massimo. Made of good stock, those Perrinas, you know.
Yeah, exactly. They certainly know how to handle these cars.
Just discussing it. Sometimes it's nice to listen in to hear what's
Yeah, that's
being
what I
said.
was thinking, I know.
I think they were talking about the Jason McCarthy. Massimo Perrina is going to be caught up by Amanda Busick right now. There she is, and The fan club are in full voice, Amanda.
I'm sure you heard that in the background. Yes,
Yes.
celebrations are kicking off here. I saw you talking with Roberto about that race, but I mean, the season that you are sewing together for yourself, 7 poles, 7 fastest lap, now 7 wins. Reflecting on the season of who you are as a racing driver right now versus the start, how would you describe it?
I'm really at a loss for words for something like that. I give everything to the team. Without them, nothing's possible. Because all their testing with the duration of this car that's had on the series, it really makes a difference. The team and the setup really makes it just that easy come race day.
What do you hope your talent is showcasing?
That I can confidently win, pull out a gap, and make it my race at the end of the day.
Guys, I think you're showing just that, right?
I absolutely endorse that. Absolutely. Massimo Perrina, well done indeed. Such a mature young man.
Yeah, I know. It's really quite annoying, isn't it? He's fast. He's driving a Ferrari. He's young. I'm struggling to like him, but I will. I'll go and say hi later. No, what a great thing. That's what's so great about being here. You've got people literally from teenagers all the way into their more mature years, and everybody's getting something out of it and showcasing living a dream.
Enoch Hurd, victorious in Shell, and he is with Amanda now.
And he would have taken that top spot on the second to last wrap. And I was talking to you a little off camera, and you were watching what was happening ahead of you. How were you able to take advantage of the 2 leaders crashing out?
I was a bit back from him, probably about 10 seconds back, so I just was watching, and when I saw it, I just weaved through the traffic, and I was comfortable in third, but I was glad I moved up.
They talk about in racing sometimes it's just the best to be at the best place at the right time. When you think of this victory and what this means for your moment, this is your win. Talk about the success here.
It's the first time I've won. I've been running 4th and 5th for the most of the races, so just trying to finish every race, which I've finished every race, but glad to finally win, make it to the podium.
You know, guys, you might as well just skip the 3rd step, the 2nd step, and go right to the top of that podium.
It's a fair point. Well made, Amanda. Well done. And well done to Enoch Hurd then.
And the history books, by the way, guys, don't say how you won.
No.
They just say that you did, and that's all that counts.
Here then, in the Drivers' Championship, Massimo Perrina, 43 points to the good of Jason McCarthy. Then Logan Broughton is P3. Mark Musso missing this weekend, P4. Gray Falva, Eric Pan, Michael Porter, Frank Szczesniak, who of course has now moved to the 296s. Omar Balkasoon, Brad Falva, Joe Sposado, Bruce Cleveland, and Titus Sherlock. Titus on his debut in the 488 Pirelli class. We'll get the Shell Championship up for you as well. That's being led by Matthew Dalton ahead of Gerdas Venslovas. There's 3 points between them. They meet again in race 2 tomorrow. P3, Enoch Hurd. Then it's Richard Pineda, Gregory Hopkins, Stephen Chen, Henry Hummel, and Brad Evans. Ahead of Dan Magnaszewski, Joel Rosenbacher, Jeffrey Keel, Gary Ott, Steve Blevitt, Anthony DiCarlo, and Lance Corley. In the Drivers' Championship ahead of Louis Peruskia, Bernard Gomez, Greg Griffin, Mitchell Green, Kevin Orsini, John Galazza, Ben Gadenzi, Ed Vortigian, Michael Merrithew, John McKenna, and Jesus Mendoza. Those are in the Shell Drivers' Championship. Well, a very interesting 488 race. My thanks to Amanda and also to Justin Bell alongside me. And we'll see you back for more racing tomorrow from the Ferrari Challenge. For now, bye-bye.